Hi there, this is Stan Holt, and I want to thank you guys for participating in the poverty simulation as volunteers for the service providers that will be working with the families that are going to, and the participants that are really going to participate in the poverty simulation experience. I really appreciate your time and energy. Thank you. And I'm going to just kind of jump in right here. So, one of the things that happens in a poverty simulation is that the participants who come into the room are put into a family situation. We have little groups of chairs that are made up of 4 or 5 people, or 2 or 3 people even, and they become a family. So you're kind of randomly assigned to a household. And those households are low income families. They're pretty diverse in terms of their makeup. So we've got some that are single seniors. We've got a mom with 2 kids. We've got a 2 parent household. We've got grandparents who are raising 2 grandchildren. So you've got this diverse makeup of individuals who come in and take on these roles, family roles. And they're certainly varied in with regard to their income, but they're all pretty close to poverty, but not quite the poorest of the poor. So there's still room with some of these households to actually kind of make it. And what we do is we have the families come in, and their goal, they get instructions, which you'll be a part of that process. They'll get instructions, and their job is to simply pay their bills, feed their family, make sure they get to work or school, and really try to make ends meet in a month. And we do that in four basically 10 to 15 minute weeks. Usually I do it somewhere between 12 and 13, but it really is kind of more dependent upon the number of participants that we have. And then we do 3 to 5 minute weekends. So what happens is I blow a little whistle, we start the simulation, they start moving from provider to provider, which is you all. We've got kids that go to a school, we've got workers that can go to the employment place during the week, and they spend their week doing the things they need to do, and then they come back to their little home, if you will, the little group of 4 chairs for the weekend, where they can regroup, think about their week, try to plan for the next week. So what they happens is that the participants receive their identity outside of the simulation space. And you all, as volunteers, will already be kind of around the room. And they'll walk into the space, find their family, put they'll have name tags, which really kind of assigns them to the family. I'll give them instructions. You all will introduce yourselves and who you are. So if you're the pawn shop broker, you'll get up and you'll say, I'm Big Dave at the pawn shop. And you can do this here, and this here. Or, I'm the school teacher. We encourage you to send your children to school every week while you're in the simulation. And so you'll get these instructions. It will introduce you all as the volunteers and the service providers, and then we start the simulation. So remember that you've got a variety of roles that you all can choose from. You can choose from being the school teacher, the employer. You can see the list here on the screen. And in terms of that, you might want to read some of the descriptions that I've already given you. I think there's nothing really special about any of these, and what I can do is when I actually meet you all and see you, I can share with you some key bits, if you will, about what your role could be like. So one of the things that you will do as providers is, let me go back to this screen actually. One of the things that is and I don't know who this will be, and hopefully none of you all will know who this will be, but we'll have somebody who's an illegal activities person, and that person really is pretty much the criminal element that slowly introduces themselves into the simulation to see what happens. And so that's kind of a unique personality that's needed with regard to the simulation. So what I want you to do is I want you to spend time reading the instructions. You're going to have a packet when you get there. We ask you to be there about half an hour early so that you can kind of look through the packet, make sure it's all there. And then we are going to ask you to play your part. Interestingly enough, what we find is that if you all play your part seriously, it really makes a difference for the participants to really kind of live into their character. And one of the things that you can do is you can get into your role. For example, the quick cash or the payday lender. You can charge high interest rates. So you can say, well, transportation passes normally cost $1, but I'm going to sell them to you for $1.50. Or you may choose to discount it for some reason. The pawnbroker, people will bring you their things for cash, and you can decide whether or not you want to give them the cash value. It may be that you show them, well, I've got 5 TVs, but so I'm not going to give you the full price. So you play your role a little bit. We encourage the banker to really be honest, be thoughtful, be helpful, that kind of thing. Grocer, if we've got anybody out there who is bilingual, we actually like to put a Spanish-speaking person in that role, simply because if you can speak Spanish, you can create a barrier to you can create a language barrier that people have to, like, oh my gosh, this must be what it feels like. The Department of Social Services, you'll have a lot of paperwork that you'll have people do. As the landlord, you'll be able to evict people. You'll keep track of their housing and whether or not they've paid their rent or mortgage. And we've got some nonprofits in there. We've got a community action agency. We've got a child care center. We've got a homeless shelter. You all can be really, in many ways, very helpful if you want to. I've even seen some people take on the role of becoming a real case manager and going from place to place with some of the folks. They'll close their shop and then go out into the community as well. One of the things that is important is there'll be cash to this, and bankers, grocers, lots of you guys will have some cash. And if you need that, just talk to me and we'll figure that out. A couple of important things to remember about the simulation. Number one, share what you are able to do. Right? So just say, and you there's some bullets there, and you don't have to read the bullets, but just say one or two things that are really kind of important. Like, here's the place you come for EBT cards, where you can get you can cash your EBT cards, right? Electronic benefits. That's something that we'll talk about. One of the big issues is transportation, and so we've got transportation passes, and that will be required for anyone who's coming to your table or to your institution for services. They will give you, and you will ask for, a transportation pass. Now, this is important. It's not just a bus pass. It's the amount of it represents the energy that is exchanged, because if you're a poor family, it may be that you actually walk somewhere, and that walking actually takes energy, and so we really want that transportation pass to represent the gas that's in a car, the bus fare, taxi fare, Uber fare, right? So we really and or walking, we want that energy exchange represented, because transportation is key. Employers, you guys who are running the employer spot, you'll know that you're going to need 5 passes for full-time workers and 3 for part-time workers. One of the other things that's part of that we see in communities that are struggling with income is the whole issue of it's a cash economy. Many don't have bank accounts. Many function on cash changing hands, and in those situations, receipts become crucial. So it may be that what we ask you to do is not give receipts unless they are asked for. And if you're a landlord or if you're um, um, I would do this with everybody but a banker. If you've got the ability to give a receipt for something that they give you cash for, don't give it. And then it may be important to like go back and say, well, I don't have, do you have a receipt for the money that you gave me? Like, so if you, this is particularly works really well if you're a landlord, they come to pay you and then like you don't give them a receipt. It's like you can go back and you can say, you can send them that eviction and they say, wait a minute, we paid you. And you're going to say, I don't remember. Do you have a receipt? Um, the illegal activities person won't be introduced. They'll just be kind of floating around. And, that's there. I'll have hints for that person who chooses to do that role. Finally, as we end the simulation, we'll debrief. It's a real important part of the experience. Participants will share their experiences first. I have a laundry list of questions that I run them through. And then you all will be asked to share your experience as well. We won't have any partners from United Way there, so we'll deal with that. We do that in other simulations. So it's important just with your organizer to know the location. Try to get there 30 minutes beforehand to set up your space and your role, and then that's that. These are contact informations. Right now, I'm Stan Holt at United Way, and that's that. And I think we're done. Hopefully that's helpful. And thanks again.